If I can't force you to get an abortion, you shouldn't be able to force me to get
Because it's not about you. It's about people you interact with, and that's the social contract of public health.
We don't even know if the vaccine worked or not at the time.
Yes, that's what the trials are, dude. That's why these trials. Are you missing data out there?
But let me ask you a question. Are we saying only one type of scientists are right?
No, we're saying that the system in place,
the 16,000 that signed that.
No. The system in place to test vaccines. Yeah. There's an entire system that's in place.
What have we learned now?
What do you mean testing it on America? There were tests before it was released.
9 months is not a long time to test.
No, but it was tested.
Yeah, but 9 months. The average is 30. The average is 5 to 10 years. I mean, 9 months is not enough.
Okay, so you have to test. No, you have to ask. Hold on. It was tested in trials. Okay. By the way, I'm not claiming to be the expert on all this. I read all the same things you have, but I'm a scientist, so I read it as a scientist. Okay.
It was a race against time, and back in January, University of Queensland virus experts were confident.
We're aiming to have something that's ready to go into humans in 16 weeks' time.
The problem was the use of an HIV protein used in the molecular clamp technology. It was a small fragment of HIV, and scientists were aware of the risks of false positive results.
There was a theoretical risk of this, we thought, albeit a very low risk.
In a shock result, everyone who had the vaccine came up with the false positive.
I knew that they were using a modified part of the HIV virus.
There were trials. That's what the point of phase 1, 2, 3 trials are all about. They are tested enough to get data on how to then advise the larger population. Yes, it was tested. For you to say it wasn't tested is a gap between your awareness and understanding how things work and what actually happened. It was tested. If you want it to be tested on millions of people instead of thousands, you can put in for that. You can say, I don't want this unless it's millions. That's okay.
Totally fine with me.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine. So I'm a scientist. While the virus keeps spreading, okay? Right, so this is the contest between the information you have available to you at that moment and what's going on outside the lab. People are dying. Hospitals are becoming overloaded.
So Keith would make the spike protein in the lab, locking it into exactly the same shape by adding another protein that acts a bit like a clone. And that protein is a tiny fragment of HIV.
The reason we chose this protein is because it's so well understood. It's a highly stable structure. There is absolutely no risk from this type of vaccine.
Are beginning to believe that a vaccine against AIDS may be impossible to make and too dangerous to test.
If you take it and then a year goes by and everybody's fine, then you say, okay, that's good. Now let's give it to 500 people. And then a year goes by and everything's fine. You say, well, then now let's give it to thousands of people. And then you find out that it takes 12 years for all hell to break loose. And then what have you done?
So, Do you say, we have good data on the 1,000, it's not yet at 1 million in case you wanted 1 million. Are you going to say, let's still do it on another, let's wait another 6 months so we get another 1 million in here? Will you do that as a public health professional?
No, I would have said, allow the individual to still have a choice that's okay with 1,000 instead of a few million. Leave the person have the choice. Not force him to take it or else you're going to get out of the Marines, and you've been doing this for 14 years. Not force him to take it or else you have to quit your job as a nurse.
There's a public health
force versus
there's a
choice.
We have made the decision that federal public servants need to be fully vaccinated. That is something that we're also applying to everyone who gets on a plane or a train. Bottom line is, if anyone who doesn't have a legitimate medical reason for not getting fully vaccinated chooses to not get vaccinated, there will be consequences.
I need you to talk to your neighbors and talk to your friends. Talk to those folks who are still wondering whether they should get vaccinated and tell them, yes, they need to get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
that order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
It is obvious that we are in the midst of the most severe crisis the world has experienced since World War II. The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. In short, we need a great reset. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity.
unprecedented way, we see all of the governments around the world, with very few exceptions, all adopting the same policy at the same time frame. This is a highly coordinated effort, right, internationally, and it tells us that there's a group of people or individuals who are directing the governments essentially what to do. This globalist agenda, moving towards a one world government, and with tighter control over the population, with a reduced population, with a new financial, monetary and currency system. And there's evidence for all these aspects. And I think the overall plan has been well laid out in the United Nations document, Agenda 21, later changed to Agenda 2030.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anita Cicero, Deputy Director of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. And today I will be your Master of Ceremonies for Event 201. On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our audience here in New York. The goal of the Event 201 exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose. Today's scenario is going to simulate meetings of a multi-stakeholder group called the Pandemic Emergency Board. This board has been urgently convened by the World Economic Forum. The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board's recommendations are aimed at top decision makers in national governments, global business, and international organizations. The Event 201 scenario is fictional, but it's based on public health principles, epidemiologic modeling, and assessment of past outbreaks. In other words, we've created a pandemic that could realistically occur.
Decisions required from government and public health leaders to minimise large-scale economic and societal consequences of a severe pandemic. I wish you the best of luck, and we are looking forward to working with each of you to strengthen pandemic preparedness in the future. Thank you.
Welcome to Event 201.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness, but now it's spreading rapidly throughout local communities. International travel has turned local epidemics into a pandemic spanning the globe.
Good morning, and thank you all for being part of this Pandemic Emergency Board. We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together. And we want to start the meeting by viewing this news story that just aired on Global News Network.
CAPS is a novel coronavirus related to those viruses that caused the frightening SARS epidemic in 2003 and the deadly MERS outbreaks in recent years. CAPS is a serious respiratory disease. More than half of the recognized cases have required hospital care, creating a huge strain on healthcare systems. Some people only exhibit mild flu-like symptoms, not requiring treatment in a hospital. Alarmingly, those people are able to walk around and spread the virus, not realizing they are doing so. In other places, physicians have quickly recognized the symptoms of CAPS and have been able to isolate infected individuals and avoid an outbreak, for now. Global public health experts are very concerned about this disease because it appears the virus is readily transmitted through the air from person to person. Essentially, all people are susceptible. Experts agree unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic.
As you've just heard, the outbreak is very worrisome.
And to understand that better, we're going to watch one more clip here.
Our U.S. affiliate has just released polling results on public expectations for a vaccine. A majority of Americans expect a vaccine to be available within 2 months, and 65% of those polled are eager to take the vaccine, even if it's experimental.
Public health contract that you have signed implicitly as a citizen of a country where in part we depend on each other for health, our wealth, our security, and the like. And that contract is, in the best scientific evidence available at the time, if you do not get vaccinated, you will put other people in this organization at risk, and that organization does not want to take that risk. So you do not have this job anymore if you decline it.
This idea, for example, that you can be ill even though you have no symptoms, and you can be a respiratory virus threat to someone else even though you have no symptoms, that's also invented in 2020. There's simply no history of it, and it defies common sense as well. I'm paying to do this, right? I have lost work. I have had people I've known for decades no longer want to speak to me. I am very sincere in what I'm doing. I'm warning you that governments around the world, and certainly yours locally, is lying to you in various ways that are easy for you to establish. If you choose not to do that, there's nothing someone like me can do about it, okay? You've been subject to propaganda and lies by people who are very well trained in how they do that, and I'm a complete amateur. So I'm simply telling you that if you want to check any one of the things I have said, you will find it to be true. And I would point out to you that if you find one thing your government has said which is clearly not true, I ask you this: why would you believe anything else they've told you?
So, with any public health decision, there has to be a consequence to you not participating in that social contract. But no, we're not going to have the army bust into your home and force a needle into your shoulder. That's not going to happen.
We pretty much did that.
Well, only put your job at risk, yes.
Yeah, 67% of Americans took the COVID. That's force. That's not a choice. That's a lot of force and coercing and pushing going on. But you can't go to the school unless you're vaccinated against mumps. I think that's bullshit.
That's a different country.
Yeah. But
okay, would you want a country?
No, America is supposed to be the one that offers the most freedom. That's what America is supposed to be.
Yeah, okay, so watch.
So for example, if you use that argument, somebody may say, well, freedom of choice, I want to choose what I want to do with the body. You're right.
What body?
If you want to get an abortion, it's your choice.
Your own body.
If you want to get an abortion, get an abortion. If I want to get the vaccine, I get to choose. So you can't force.
I think that the pandemic is a fake. It was based on a PCR test that was highly fallible. That means dangerously inaccurate, giving false positive data that was unfortunately taken as the main diagnostic criterion.
Tulichukua sample za mbuzi, tukachukua sample za kondoo, tukachukua sample za papai, tukachukua sample za oili ya gari na sample za vitu vingine mbalimbali, tukavipeleka pale kwenye maabara bila wao kujua, na tukazipa majina. Sample ya oili kwa mfano iliyotoka kwa gari tulilipa jina ya Jabiri Hamza mwenye miaka 30, male. Ile ilileta negative. Tulipopeleka sample ya papai tukaipa jina Elizabeth Anne, miaka 26, female. Papai lile lilikuwa positive kwamba lina corona. Tulipeleka sample ya ndege Kware, imekuwa positive. Ukishaona umepeleka sample ukamwambia huyu ni binadamu, halafu ikaji ikaletewa positive kwamba ina corona, maana yake labda mapapai yote yale nayo yangewekewa isolation.
The lights will be low. You can relax now. When you're very close to the end, your family will be called. Salty tears splashing across their cheeks while they whisper, "I love you," into the receiver, a lifetime away. At the end, after your last breath, we will be there to offer condolences. Sorry we couldn't do more. Sorry your heart is broken. We will care for you until the caretaker comes to zip you up in a thick rubber cadaver bag and roll you away. You brave COVID denier. Look at the legacy you've left behind. You are now free.
Better diagnostics, treatments, and a safe and effective vaccine.
COVID-19 diagnostics, therapeutics and vaccines.
Largement du développement et du déploiement rapide de diagnostics, vaccins et traitements efficaces.
Universal access to vaccination, treatment and diagnostics.
Equitable access to new COVID diagnostics, therapeutics and vaccine.
We must all work together on improving diagnostics, accelerating therapies, and ultimately developing a vaccine.
We need to make vaccines, treatment, and diagnostics accessible to everyone.
Vaccines, treatments, and diagnosis.
We need new diagnostics, vaccines, treatments, and an equal distribution to all.
On equitable access to diagnostics, treatments, and vaccines.
Treatments and vaccine.
And affordability of the
sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
We have a chance to reset the clock and build back better than before.
To build back better than before.
Remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it Build Back Better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
My plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better, Britain After Coronavirus.
It's about building this country back better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better.
Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It's a big effort to, some would say, to build back better. We would say to really have a great reset.
Conspiracy.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system.
Vaccinate, vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, vaccinate, get rid of COVID. Vaccinate, vaccinate, get rid of COVID. Shut the
What am I seeing in the laboratory? I'm seeing an uptick of herpes family viruses. I'm seeing herpes, I'm seeing shingles, I'm seeing mono, I'm seeing a huge uptick in human papillomavirus in the cervical biopsies and the cervical pap smears in women. What it tells me is the immune status of these individuals who have gotten the shot. We're literally weakening the immune system of these individuals. Now, most concerning of all is there's a pattern of these types of immune cells in the body that keep cancer in check. Well, since January 1, in the laboratory, I have seen a 20 times increase of endometrial cancers over what I see on an annual basis. A 20 times increase. Seeing thick melanomas skyrocketing in the last month or two.
But what I'm saying is, in a case where you can contaminate someone else, it's not about you. It's about the collective
You're assuming.
health.
You're assuming because somebody can take the vaccine, won't get COVID, which, by the way, I don't need to play the clips for you to see it, where everybody said, hey, if you get it, you're not going to get, if you take the vaccine, you're not going to get a Rachel Maddow, Joe Biden. I can give you Fauci. I can give you, and you've seen these clips before. It's not like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, what happened
They were wrong.
Hold on. So, the strain evolved, okay, so that the vaccine that prevented you from catching COVID was tuned to the variant of COVID at the time the vaccine was designed, okay? Over time, there were variants that arose. The vaccine provided partial protection against the new variants, enough to keep you from dying statistically, and to basically keep you out of the hospital, allowing other people with more severe problems to get the hospital attention they required. And so then they would develop a subsequent, the booster and a subsequent mixture of the vaccine. This is what happens every year with a flu shot. They look at how the flu has evolved from one season to the next. And what's fortunate is Australia tends to get the variant of flu before we do, because they get their winter in our summer. And then, so we study that, have a forward projection for it. So these annual flu shots are precisely out of the same idea of how this occurs.
How long have those been tested, though? For years. COVID vaccine hasn't been tested for it. It was something we just came out. But let me.
I don't know what point you're making, other than it was tested. You might
9 months is not enough.
You might prefer. No, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of how many. Yes, time matters, but the number of people is paramount. That's the most important thing. Okay, you don't test it on 10 people. You test it on as many people as you can. And
sure.
I think it was thousands, but
is it fair to say that some of the side effects we may not know for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? You can't, like, they can't say we know 100% the side effects 10 years from now. How are you going to know that?
Yeah. Okay. So no, of course we can't know.
So
that.
then all I'm saying is,
watch. We can't know that.
Okay.
But watch. So I have a whole chapter called Risk and Reward in the book, which tries to sensitize people to, when they make a decision, what kind of risk are they absorbing relative to what they're rejecting? Okay? And we're not very good at that, at probability and statistics.
Today, the call has gone out to everyone in home quarantine in Victoria to take part of our pilot program. And what that means is that they will receive random phone calls and they have to answer within 5 minutes with a selfie sent to this app, which will then geo-track where that person is, and to make sure that they are who they say they are as well. If they don't answer within that 5-minute period, that's when health officers come knocking, Pete.
From the exam room to the courtroom, this morning, new fronts in the fight against COVID-19. The CDC finding 16 to 24-year-olds who receive the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine have experienced higher than normal cases of myocarditis and inflammation of the heart muscle. Myocarditis symptoms can include fever and fatigue, shortness of breath, and chest pain. The CDC said the higher rate of cases occurred especially among young men following their second dose of an mRNA vaccine. A top advisor now saying all children should be vaccinated, stressing herd immunity is critical with more contagious variants on the way.
It's not by definition a vaccine.
Then what is it?
It is a human trial. It is genetic therapy. It's not a vaccine. It doesn't fall under the category of a vaccine. It's not FDA approved.
Why are you trying to buy me off with it, though?
Because I love you. Why do you think I want to buy you off?
I don't want money, though. Like,
I know you don't, but I don't know what else to do.
you didn't do this to Michael and Kelsey. They already got it.
Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I know that? Why do you think I'm fucking crazy? Your mother got it. Why do you think I'm fucking crazy? My family is gone. My family is gone. By the end of this flu season, most of you will be dead. What the fuck do you expect me to be?
Shall we forgive and forget?
Absolutely not. I'm full of vengeance. I am vengeful. It's not a time to say I'm sorry. It's a time to put these bastards in jail. I'm calling it the big kill. We've seen the biggest kill ever in medicine's history. directly because of the intervention of these idiots into healthcare. And it's the physicians, it's not just the politicians, it's the physicians themselves who are principally culpable because they have allowed governments jackboots to influence how they manage their patients, which has never, ever happened before. First, do no harm and informed consent. The physicians have looked in, how can you do this? How can you look into the eyes of a pregnant woman and tell her that this experimental product is safe? How can you do that as a physician? No, any physician that has done that should be in jail.
You got the vaccination? Yeah. Are you okay? I mean, you seem, no, it works. Or or the mom and dad. Or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when...
Predsjednica Europske komisije. Danas je nas 10 zastupnika u Europskom parlamentu podastrijeti komunikaciju koja je vodila sa Pfizerom. Prilikom nabavke 4,5 milijarde doza cjepiva u trenutku kada nije postojao apsolutno nikakav dokaz o učinkovitosti, a pogotovo ne o štetnosti tog proizvoda. Zamislite, 4,5 milijarde doza za 450 milijuna stanovnika. Tek rođeno bi trebalo primiti 10 doza nečega za što nitko na svijetu, osim možda 2 ili 3 ljudi, ne zna što ono sadrži. Tu se radi o tajnama, zaštićenim patentima. Nemojte misliti da bilo koje ministarstvo ili Europska agencija zna što se nalazi točno u tom proizvodu. To nitko ne zna i niko vam to ne govori. Oni su odobrili to cjepivo, taj farmaceutski proizvod, samo temeljem izjave farmaceuta. Nisu dobili na uvid nikakva medicinska istraživanja. Do današnjeg dana nikakva medicinska istraživanja nisu predana niti članovima odbora za COVID Europskog parlamenta, niti Europskoj medicinskoj agenciji, nikome. Pa je li je to moguće?
is actually destroyed by these vaccines. It destroys your T cell function, natural killer cell function, and also suppresses tumor suppressor genes. It's like taking the brakes off cancer. Or another way of saying it, it's an acquired, because it wasn't there before, so it was acquired, immune deficiency syndrome.
AIDS.
So it's a vaccine-induced AIDS.
Everyone has AIDS. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. AIDS, 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 AIDS. Everyone has AIDS. And so this is the end of our story. And everyone is dead from AIDS. It took from me my best friend, my only true pal, my only bright star. Well, I'm gonna march on Washington, lead the fight and charge the brigades. There's a hero inside of all of us. I'll make them see everyone has AIDS. My father, AIDS. My sister, AIDS. My uncle and my cousin and her best friend, AIDS, AIDS. The gays and the straights and the whites and the spades. Everyone has AIDS. My grandma and my dog go blue. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. The Pope has got it and so do you. AIDS, 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 AIDS. Come on, everybody, we got quilting to do. We're gonna break down these barricades. Everyone has AIDS, 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 AIDS.
Guys like Fauci get up there and start talking, you know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face.
A nurse at University
Nothing.
Medical Center
The man
has
thinks
now
you
been
can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it.
Take a look at
He
the
doesn't
video.
understand
The
electron
person
microscopy,
administering
and he
the
doesn't
shot does not
understand
appear
medicine,
to
and
use
that
the
he
plunger,
should not be in a
and
position like
photos
he's
appear
in.
to show the syringe
Most of those
already
guys up there on the
depressed
top are
at the
just
time of
total
injection.
administrative
Hospital
people,
says
and they
to
don't know
remove any doubt,
anything about
the
what's
nurse
going
was
on in the body.
revaccinated.
You know,
UMC
those
says
guys
the second shot
have got
may
an
have not
agenda,
harmed the
which is
nurse.
not
There were no other
what we
issues
would like
with the
them to
vaccines
have.
given
And they
to the
smugly,
other
like Tony
four
Fauci
nurses
does not
yesterday.
mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera. You can't expect the sheep to really respect the best and the brightest. They don't know the difference, really. I mean, I like humans. Don't get me wrong, but basically, the vast majority of them do not possess the ability to judge who is and who isn't a really good scientist.
Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
ワクチン接種後に心血管系と心臓の障害で半分がなくなってるんですよ。ね。この死因の中、あんた方よく分かってるでしょ。アルファ、ベータ、ガンマなんてバカみたいなことやって、無能な学者を揃えて、御用学者ともう言えない、極学アセンと科学と医学をもう徹底的に無視する。もうこんなことあってはならない。科学技術立国でしょ。ね。科学と医学を無視して、なんだ医療を荒廃させて、めちゃくちゃだな。これ夢から現実へと捉えて心血管系の吸収がどれだけあるかを見てる。だから何としても薬害を根絶しないといけない。この国は薬害からレッスンを受けてもう二度と薬害ができない国になってるんですよ。
Well, I'm not sure that, you know, this was an interesting case test of people's trust in their politicians or their health system. And, you know, statistically, we didn't do as well as I would have expected. You know, in fact, you know, I'm cited as some, you know, mastermind of some evil plot in many, many cases. So, no, I didn't expect any of that. You know, in some ways, the politicization of, you know, taking vaccines and helping protect other people, you could almost say that's a step backwards. You know, I hope vaccine acceptance for other diseases like measles is not reduced by this. But, you know, a lot of people jumped in and took the vaccines, but a meaningful minority in most countries were led down a path of believing that not only, you know, were there rare side effects, but that the vaccine wasn't properly tested or was part of some evil conspiracy.
I've been waiting for the light of day two to show me where your heart lies. Your shadows casting another silhouette. I don't like what it's hiding. There's new days ahead now. I'm gonna live what I believe. It's gonna move us along. We won't stop. We won't stop trying. Throw your hands up. Move 'cause you can't stop. There's nothing more I need.
And that fellow embalmer? This is not mine. This is his. Same stuff. You see that?
You know, we know something's going on. I deal with a lot of funeral directors and embalmers. I attend national conventions, state conventions. I'm very involved. And, you know, we know something different is going on. We don't know exactly what's going on, but the timing of it is just hand in hand. We're connecting dots here. And it certainly appears that there's some relationship to the vaccine and these obstructions that we're seeing.
I was in Ohio last week or the week before last, and there were 100 embalmers at the Ohio Embalmers Association in my lecture, and I posed these photos up where people could see them, and nearly all of the embalmers out of 100 in this room raised their hands that they had seen clots and white fibrin structures of that kind of size. And when I ask again, when did they start seeing them? Again, it's that 16 to 18 month period.
This is different. And they need to figure out what it is. That's the problem, is they need to figure out. That's why we're talking to you, is that we're concerned for humanity.
Once I knew what was happening, I'm a man of principle. Do you know, your family's just as important as mine. If I don't speak out, we're all anyway.
As a Canadian embalmer, I have found that everybody I embalmed for over a year had fibrous mass clots.
When I was talking to Dr. Ken Thorpe, he was more concerned about the little tiny clots that he called microclots. And when I asked him about microclots, I was like, let me explain. Sometimes when I'm seeing the blood, it looks like the blood is dirty. The reason why he's more concerned about those is because they will go undetected and they can get lodged up in capillaries and end up slowly starving organs of the oxygen that it needs.
The first time I seen something that I would describe as a different type of blood than I had ever seen, consistency of blood, was on a younger lady that was in a car accident. And I noticed onto the table as we were getting a little bit of drainage from her that her blood looked as if it was, the only way to describe it is blood on beach sand. It was sticking to the table.
I began noticing strange things with the blood, looking like it had coffee grinds or sand in it.
I'd like you to kind of feel Yeah. You can kind of hold on. It's like to a rubber band almost. Yeah, like a rubber band or like calamari.
So of course that explains people stroking out.
And that was my concern in the very beginning of all this. The whole thing was, as I'm seeing all of these strange This is the iliac artery. And this clot coming out of the iliac. Normally we don't see clots in the iliac, in an artery. Usually they're in veins. probably not going to be able to get it all. This is not normal. Look at the size of this one. The big one came out of the vein. The small one came out of the iliac artery itself.
Wow. As the months passed by, the clots became worse, and each person, the quantity of them was much larger, and they were getting larger.
Getting ready to fight COVID.
All of us want to be superheroes. And the most important heroes are those that help others. This year, thousands of kids like us around the world joined the COVID-19 vaccine trial.
Kid power.
And when they did, they became all superheroes. To all the kids who volunteered, we'd like to say,
Thank you.
thank you for sharing your superpowers of
Courage.
trying new things,
The ability to save people.
the power to help people,
Helping not just yourself, but many other kids.
to not be scared, be strong, super brave,
Bravery and courage.
a superhero shot, helping everybody, fight coronavirus and help others. You're helping the whole entire world. Thank you. You are all superheroes.
Thank you. Thank you, superheroes.
Thank you.
You're awesome.